Where were you placed? Where's your placement currently? Are you still in the toilet paper and hand lotion bunker? No, not hand lotion. What is it? Fuck.
Hand sanitizer.
Hand sanitizer bunker. Are you still in your toilet paper and hand sanitizer bunker?
No, my bunker was overrun. So I had to move to a new bunker. Now this bunker is made out of paper towels and milk. Oh. But I wasn't able to make my bunker in the cool, so all my milk has gone bad. So now I've been slowly turning all of my rotten, putrid, horrible milk into smoke bombs and gas bombs to attack the other forts that are currently being built.
A gas bomb is a perfect way to describe this album.
I will reclaim my toilet paper fort.
I was trying to do a smooth transition from you, but you just kind of continued on the rant. But yep. I kind of enjoyed how you just didn't give a fuck either way, regardless.
Never do.
Time to go over the latest Watsky album placement. Watsky is a Bay Area slam poet turned rapper who's been around for at least the last decade with a mix of alternative hip hop, emo, and spoken word. He is unbelievably cheesy and goofy, but sometimes there's just a nice charm to that. You find some I don't know. You just enjoy it sometimes. Yeah. Sometimes it's unbearably cheesy. Like I think on Material on those first two albums, his self-titled Watsky and Cardboard Castles, he gets into material that's just undoubtedly annoying and cheesy. Yeah. But I think later on All You Can Do and Xfinity is Times Infinity. That's what it's called. Xfinity is like a internet service.
Is it?
Yeah, I think it's the one run by Verizon.
Oh, well, that explains why no one knows about
it. But I think he got into more mature terrain, especially on Times Infinity, where he was getting into more political, but also different soundscapes, and he was challenging himself way more over the production he was over and becoming a more compelling artist by having various types of production and experiences, and all kind of flow together in this one very captivating way. I really enjoyed Times Infinity, and then following up with Complaint, I thought was just yes, it was stupid. It's one of my favorite reviews because Trevor just has a field day with the review, just completely shitting on it, but he does have points. The album is overtly cheesy and at times overtly edgy. I found some charm in it, but there's also some really, really good pop performances. Like Mean Ass Drunk is on there. That's a fantastic pop tune.
That's a fucking bop right there.
Yeah, but Trevor's not wrong in the fact that there's just some moments sound like a 15-year-old girl wrote it. But even then, at least Watsy's being consistent with which he's always been, so I can give him that, I guess.
Yeah.
This new album is the second part of the trilogy that started with Compliant, and it's part of this 3-album set. It has the same exact font as Complaint, and
apparently the third one's supposed to be called Intention because if you put them together, they start to spell out each of the words still, and the only word that still fits is intention.
Okay, that's interesting. But this new album placement's 9 songs, 38 minutes, and it's very disappointing. I just didn't. This was there's no highs for me on this. There's nothing that I don't think Watsky's challenging himself. I don't think there's anything remotely catchy on here. I don't think there's anything new or captivating. Comparing this to his last album had really good pop moments and things that Watsky really hasn't done yet. And it's interesting to see him challenge himself in a new way and provide some compelling performances. This doesn't really have that. His vocals across this entire thing, when he attempts to sing, just come off very, very flat and don't really work in the grander scheme of things. The production he's over is not inherently bad, but it's too similar to things he's been over before, and it's not really compelling enough to hold its own with a very flat Watsky who's repetitive on top of the production. I don't know. I think the moments like the advanced placements, the opening with the fast pitch harmony is so annoying and just sets this album off into a place where I didn't want it to start off at. And then it gets in some like mediocre rapping and like he holds his own, but he really isn't like saying much that like he hasn't said already.
Yeah.
Track Undermined is like a very bad Chainsmokers like pop track, like electro pop trap with annoying huge quick atmospheric synths that don't fit the performance, and Watsky's just kind of underminingly doing harmonies on top of it with the featured vocalist. Dreams of Brox's has the most interesting performance on it with this weird spoken word part that talks about this dream he has where he spoke to this goblin named Frank, and it gets into all this like different absurdist territory. But like the parts before and after are so painstakingly boring pop that like it has no character to it. It can, like, when you get that moment of character, it's nice, but it's consumed by two ends that are just nothing compared to like that bit of character, like humanity shows in the spoken word verse.
Yeah. The track's just weird because it also is just kind of a little all over the place. And at times, like, the switches are kind of interesting, but half the time, though, it just feels like it's a little lost in itself.
Yeah. The Price of Growing Up is probably his best vocal performance on here, but like the message of the track is like all the things you lose after you grow up, and the ideas of like fear and modern day issues, like the paranoia of it almost comes into play, but he doesn't really explain himself, so the message just comes off as like very flat.
Yeah.
Like there's no good explanation. Like the message itself could be good, but like his use of it is just very uninteresting and uninviting and doesn't really bring anything unique to the premise. And Black Hole Eyes is probably the most annoying track on here with this distorted pop rap that like really doesn't fit. It has this very annoying frontward keys. Like Watsky's is like most abstract and strange, but it really doesn't work as the premise of the track. And that's pretty much my take on this album.
Yeah, this album, so I listen to Watsky a lot. It's my fiance's favorite artist. And no, Watsky has like a place. I see why people do like him as much as they do. He is kind of goofy and a little cheesy, but there's like a charm to it a lot of the times.
Yeah.
And while he might not have been like, he's definitely not my favorite artist, he is growing on me the more I listen to tracks from Times Infinity and Complaint even. But this one is just, it doesn't feel interesting. Like, even if I'm not like super into his music from the last couple things, at least it's always like interesting. He always has a character, and there's a little bit of a charm to his cheesiness. And even when he's not doing the best performance he could do, there's still just a charm to it. And this album doesn't have a lot of that charm anymore.
Yeah, I just don't see the appeal. Like I don't see the same character I did when I really got into his music when I was like a junior in high school.
Yeah.
Like there isn't the same appeal. It doesn't hit the same edge. And not to say he needs to replicate himself, but there isn't anything new on here either. It's just very tired.
Yeah, it's both not new, but it's also not the same.
Yeah.
It's doing the things that he's always done before, but the charm that he used to have just doesn't feel like it's there anymore.
Yeah. That's all I really gotta say. Keep in mind that all scores are futile and meaningless right now. I think this is like a 2 to 3.
I was going to give this like a 5.
That's your opinion.
Yeah.
Do whatever you want. I don't care. But if you're wrong, you're wrong. And that's a wrong opinion, Jonathan.
It's a 5 with a little asterisk next to it.
I actually don't give a fuck. I just like telling you're wrong.
That's fair. You're wrong too.
I'm not. I'm 100% correct. Always correct. Never wrong.